Hey guys, hope you are all having a great day. Every day that goes by, it makes me wonder what on earth is keeping these markets up and afloat. Yesterday I released 2 videos. The first one I gave an elaborate discussion as to the biggest catalysts happening this week along with my own personal opinion as to where we would be heading. Then, news began circulating that Russia was once again threatening to use nuclear options in the event that events escalated with West intervention. All of a sudden, the mood shifted. Futures in the pre-market began spiraling down and everyone became certain that another sell-off would come about. I released a second video quickly updating on this, and explaining that the world we currently live in is so volatile that things can quite literally shift a full 180 with a single announcement. Markets began trading very bearish in the pre-market, but were somehow on an upward trajectory which had it trading bullish half into the day, with the main benchmarks even surpassing the closing prices on Friday. Then, markets began retracing, experiencing a sell-off. S&P 500 was looking to close well over 1% in losses when all of a sudden, in the last couple of minutes of trading, markets rallied out of nowhere and began to aggressively push up. All of this just drives home the point that we are living in very uncertain times where investors are incredibly anxious and prone to hit the sell button at any notice. My advice to you guys is that for the time being, take into account and inform yourself on everything happening, but do not become too confident on any particular price expectation. We have some important updates to go over today, but before we start, let me quickly state that I am not a financial advisor, and that all content discussed in this channel is simply information gathered that I deem important for people to know, so that they can make informed decisions. All efforts are aimed to better understand the nature of the current market in anticipation of the greatest squeeze in financial history. Let's dive right in. Today is the last day of February and stocks are set to end the month on a down note. All major indexes tumbled this month, with the Dow falling more than 4% in February, which is following a 3.3% drop from January. The Russian ruble collapsed today after multi-countries around the world imposed sanctions. This led to a pretty big rally in cryptocurrencies, with Bitcoin surging more than 10%. Canada also announced that they would ban oil imports from Russia. The situation continues to change and evolve almost by the hour, with countries constantly withdrawing from trades with Russia. Their economy is absolutely shattered at this point and they are set for a recession as the very best scenario. In relation to our favorite stocks, Adam Aron confirmed that AMC will be releasing their fourth quarter earnings reports tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time. Cinemark, the third biggest theater chain in the world, became profitable for the first time ever since the pandemic began after a very bullish holiday season, so I have no doubt whatsoever that AMC is about to deliver some super bullish results. But more importantly than this, today we had the financial statement from Citadel Securities be made available to everyone. Some of the numbers in the report are pretty wild too. In the statement of financial condition, under the liabilities and members' capital section, it appears that Citadel sold, but not yet purchased at fair value over $65 billion. We also saw that almost half of their entire trading assets are overnight repo. This is the best part, because I have gotten so much hate on Twitter for saying that reverse repo is a crucial part in understanding what is going on while all the haters say it doesn't matter. Here we get to see some of the exposure and allocation of assets Citadel has, and we can finally conclude without a shadow of a doubt that reverse repo is a very important metric. To add to their detriment, Citadel holds $470 billion in liabilities to their $458 billion in assets. This is what actually grabbed my attention the most. Citadel has been shorting a ton of securities but have only about the same amount of assets in holdings. Citadel is one of the biggest and influencing players factoring into the shorting of GameStop and AMC. If they, which are big and powerful, is performing this bad, I can't even imagine the rest of the smaller hedge funds who also shorted GME and AMC. In the last note of the report, Citadel disclosed that an evaluation of subsequent to December 31, 2021, they had capital withdrawals of $470 million. That means investors pulled out almost $500 million from Citadel. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying they feel bad that they can't short Citadel. You might not be able to short them directly, but I sure am doing my part by buying GameStop shares. All in all, the report does not appear to be very bullish for Citadel. They have a crap ton of exposure and are looking like they have little room to wiggle. Since December of last year, Citadel has lost 20.5% of their entire net capital. I am super content with my investments and am more bullish now that I read that report. I was linked to a tweet by Chart Exchange that shows that the new fail to deliver numbers are identical to the numbers that were accidentally released 2 weeks ago, suggesting the SEC is artificially delaying public reports. This right here is inexcusable and condemning evidence that the SEC is definitely cooking up numbers to hide something, that something being exactly what we know it's true. I am absolutely disgusted by this revelation, but not shocked in the least. The SEC has done some really good things as of late, but don't ever forget that they are complicit and have taken an active participating role against retail traders. I want to shout out Chart Exchange for bringing this up to light. Lastly, I do want to give some important updates on Ukraine, as the situation over there is having such a profound and direct consequence on the daily volatility of the markets. The United States asked 12 Russian United Nations diplomats to leave the country due to their alleged engagement in activities that were not in accordance with their responsibilities and obligations as diplomats. We saw the International Criminal Court in Netherlands announce they will open investigations into Russian invasions of Ukraine as soon as possible. Military officials have said that Russia is well behind the schedule it's set to take over Ukraine. Russian officials are concerned with the risks that come with the lack of progress in key targets. They have seen some moderate success in the south but not a lot in the more important areas of Ukraine. Officials have declined to give any estimates on Russian casualties, but they are said to be very significant. I have taken to some of the more obscure parts of the internet to watch some of the footage that typically gets banned on Twitter and such, and I don't doubt the number to be higher than the alleged 4,500 dead Russian soldiers. This is a war that has exposed the Russian army as incompetent, lacking motivation and generally ineffective. We know Ukraine is receiving a ton of war supplies from NATO countries as well as the logistical support. They are putting up a defense so big that will soon become impenetrable to Russian forces. One thing Putin's whole charade depended on was swift victory. He thought that by sending soldiers into Ukraine, he would instill fear and terror and penetrate the city, install puppet officials that would agree to whatever demands he wanted and call it a day. He thought sanctions would be bad but that the country would be able to sustain and live through it. Well, the entire world responded with great hostility. Governments around the world are imposing every possible sanction against Russia and their leaders as well as some important oligarchs. To top this off, the private sector has been working diligently to cut off exposure to Russian assets as well. The world has scorned and rallied against Russian aggression, leaving them isolated for the most part except for some countries like Belarus and of course, China. But even then, this type of world isolation is going to cause them a great ordeal of pain and economic setbacks. Russian economy was stagnant for the past decade, making little to no progress, and Vladimir Putin just ensured that the repercussions for his actions will drag them back down for years to come. Make no mistake, the economic impact of all of this will affect every living person in Russia, and bottom lines are all screwed for years to come. I do not know if Vladimir Putin low-key has a profile in Wall Street bets where he intends to display his losses, but I can tell you that the man has already won. It's the only thing he will win in all of this. Ukraine's invasion is unlikely to yield the rewards he wanted. If anything, it made Russia's military look like a joke and clearly shows that they cannot fight a war with NATO. He's already throwing big tantrums, calling and threatening to use nukes, which shows that he is definitely not in control and is more in his feelings than anything else. I am become more and more confident that Ukraine will survive and come out on top on all of this. With so much worldwide support, they will make every bloc Russians take a full headache with massive casualties that at some point will become a legitimate concern for officials, as the reward-to-cost ratio will not be conducive to continue their war efforts. Vladimir Putin is a proud man, however, and has a very sensible ego, so I don't expect this to deter him much, as I bet will be willing to sacrifice countless lives for little bargains to boast about. The future is incredibly unpredictable. We went down but actually went up at the end of the day. Let's now talk about today. The Fed submitted over $1.596 trillion in reverse repo operations today. Dark pool trades for AMC accounted for 52% of the total volume today, while dark pool trades for GameStop accounted for 50% of the total volume today. AMC had a larger amount of buy orders than sell orders, with GameStop also having a larger amount of buy orders than sell orders. Now, let's talk about performance. AMC had a bullish performance, gaining over 6% for the day. It began trading beneath the closing price of Friday due to the market reaction to Putin threats of using nuclear options. AMC was ascending though, moving above the VWAP and breaking resistance. Upon market opening, AMC shot up to 18.27 before retracing back to 17.80. It remained here for a couple minutes before moving back up to 19.34, the highest point. AMC then retraced along with the rest of the market. It fell below the VWAP and stayed trading between 18.30 and 18.80 for the most part. With a bullish push at the end of the day, AMC ran up and close at 18.86, above the VWAP. AMC will find support at 18.25, 17.50 and 16.75. Resistance will be met at 19.34, 20 and 21. Everyone anticipated a bullish earnings report, so I expect bullish performance prior to that and then a dip afterwards, as has become a habit. No matter how good a quarterly earnings report is, it's always followed by short sellers manipulating the stock back down. GameStop had a bullish performance, gaining over 4% for the day. It opened to some volatility before running up past 126. After that run, it began retracing back down, finding good support at 119 before bulls pushed for a higher closing of the day at 123.34, above the VWAP. GameStop will be affected by the positive earnings reports tomorrow to a certain degree, so I do expect some volatility in it. Support will be found at 119, 115 and 111. Resistance will be met at 124, 126 and 130. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. That is all I have for you guys today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. And most importantly, remember to come join my Discord. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon link in the description as well as some one-time donation links for Cash App and PayPal. Thank you again for being a part of this channel. I will continue striving for better content. Enjoy the rest of your day. Keep on buying the dip and to the moon.